So on this channel, I'm always talking about investing and stocks and ETFs, right? So today I want to talk about what an ETF and what an index fund is. So if you've heard about these before, but you never really heard about what they are, then stick around to the very end of this video because I'll be talking about that and a lot more. Now, ETF stands for Exchange Traded Funds, and I'll be talking about this a little more from now. Now, comment down below and let me know this, right? Have you ever invested in an ETF? And if you have invested in an ETF, which one have you invested in? And even if you haven't invested in any ETFs, let me know if you've at least heard about them before, and if so, why you've never invested in one. Now, before we get into it, if you're new here or you're new to the channel and you're seeing me for the very first time, my name is Ian, and here on this channel, I talk about ways to make money, save money, investing, banking, and all things personal finance related. So if these are topics that will interest you, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel and turning on the notifications, and that way you can get updates of when I post new videos here. And I post a new video here every single day on YouTube, and if you don't believe me, check the channel, check my history of posting videos. I post a new video here around the same time every single day on YouTube. So back to ETFs and index funds. So an index fund is a group of stocks or a portfolio of stocks combined together. So for example, the S&P 500 is an index fund, and that particular index fund, as the name suggests, is a group or portfolio of 500 stocks. So now you may wonder, well, why not just invest in the stocks? Why group them and create an index fund? And the answer is this. Sure, you can invest in all those 500 stocks, but there would be two main drawbacks that you'd face, or two main problems. Now, the first problem is going to be the cost. You'd have to invest and purchase one share of each of those 500 stocks, which could be thousands and possibly hundreds of thousands. But you may also say, well, we can invest in fractional shares. And while that is true, most investment platforms that allow you to invest in fractional shares still have a minimum. So for example, M1 Finance has a minimum of $10. So now you have to add each to your portfolio and then invest $10 in each stock, which simple maths will tell you that's going to be $500 or $5,000, because in this case, it's 500 stocks. Now, even if you use Robinhood and you get to invest a single dollar in each, that is still going to cost you more, because that's going to be $500, and the average cost of the S&P 500 is around $250 right now. So that's the first problem. Now, the second problem is managing this large portfolio of 500 stocks. This is going to be very different from investing in 10 stocks, where you can closely keep an eye on the movement of the stocks and the companies behind them. It's easier to miss 10 stocks that are underperforming or 10 companies that are in financial distress and then lose a lot of money when you have 500 stocks in your portfolio, unless you're a full-time or your full-time job is the stock market and trading, where you meticulously plan, research, and keep tabs on everything every single day. So for those two main reasons, adding 500 stocks to your investment account isn't the best idea. Now, instead, you should just get an index fund. Now, the index fund solves those two problems because it's only going to cost you a couple $100s per share. And whenever a company or a stock that's in that index fund is no longer performing well enough to be in it, then they will remove it and replace it with the next best stock or company. So for this reason, an index fund is best for beginners. And even if you know a lot about investing, it's still good because the risk is really low when compared to just spending all your money in one particular stock, or even picking 10 stocks for your portfolio. Now, that's not all. There's another problem here. It takes a lot of time to invest in a single stock. Now, sure, you can just purchase a stock at any time, but before you purchase stocks, you always have to review the company's financials and their background and see how much money they're making and how much debt they have and what their projected profit is for the next year or the next couple of years, because you don't want to end up purchasing a single stock, right, and then lose all your money. Now, doing this research will take you hours, right? And you may even need time to think about it after you've done all the research and seen the facts, and you may also need time to compare it with other stocks. So buying a single stock is going to take you a day or 2 days at the very least. Now, like I said before, the index fund is managed so you don't have to do any research. At least that's in the case of the S&P 500. It's the top 500 companies at any given time. It's being managed, and it will always be the top 500 companies at any given time. Now, this is why a lot of people talk about investing in the S&P 500 because it's one of the safer investments that will make or will provide you with long-term returns, at least good returns for the long term. Now, that brings us to the second part of this, right? The ETFs. Now, I could take an hour to go through this, but simply put, an index fund, which is what we just talked about, and an ETF are the same, or at least they do the same thing with one big difference. Now, index funds are usually what you'll find in mutual funds. So when people are investing with mutual funds, that's usually what they're doing. Now, the main difference here is that you have companies like Vanguard, for example, that create ETFs that tracks the index funds. So they do the same thing and they invest in the same stocks and you get the same returns, and everything is exactly the same except for the cost. Now, I've personally never invested in an index fund because I've never needed to. I had the option to choose an ETF, which was way cheaper, and the fees were like 0.25%, whereas the index funds and mutual funds have those fees and more fees, and the fees aren't a lot, to be honest, but over time they do add up, and I personally just don't think it makes sense to pay fees for things when you can get the same exact thing for less or for free somewhere else. Now, if you're like me, right, you'll want to invest, but of course, you don't want to spend all your time investing, or you don't want to spend all your time with investing. You'll just want to find an investment that will make you consistent returns on your money, and that's what an ETF does. And there's actually a movement right now called FIRE, right? Now, FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. Now, if you guys look this up, it's a simple way of seeing how much money you'll need to have invested in an ETF such as the S&P 500 to be able to live from the earnings every single year and never work a day in your life again. And a lot of people are doing this and making it work. So that's something to be aware of. And if you guys want to hear more about that FIRE movement, comment down below and I'll do a video about the FIRE and how to calculate it and how it works, so you can know how much money you need based on the time you have or what you need to be investing in to be able to retire earlier and live on earnings from your investments every single year. So the main point here is you don't have to be the smartest investor in the world. You can simply use an ETF or ETFs to your advantage and make a lot of money consistently for years and years to come. And by the way, that's what I do as well. Now, there is one more drawback to investing with ETFs, and that is too much diversification, and that's something bad, right? Now, this will lead to you missing out on some money. So with the ETFs, you'll receive 7 to 10% consistently year by year in your returns. Well, let's say you didn't invest in ETFs, right? Let's say you had $10,000. If you invested that 10K in an ETF, then you'd get $700 to $1,000 in returns each year, and that would keep going up because of compounding. But if you took that 10K and invested it into Amazon, for example, while Amazon was trading at around $1,000, you would have 10 shares. Now, Amazon a year later is trading at around $3,500. So in this particular scenario, you could have invested in an ETF and made $1,000 over 12 months, or you could have invested the same amount of money in a single stock and made over $25,000 in profit in that same 12 months period. Now, that's the drawback here. You can and you likely will miss out on opportunities to invest in single stocks that will do extremely well and make you a lot of money quickly, but also on the flip side, it could go the other way. So here's the main thing then. If you want a safer, consistent return on your money, then ETFs are the way to go. If you want to take some more risk, then you have the chance of making a lot more money quickly with individual stocks, and this is more risky, but the rate of reward is much higher in the short term, and index funds are the same as ETFs, but just with more fees. And by the way, guys, I'm leaving a link to the Wealthfront investment account at the top of this video or at the top of the screen right now. And in that video, I explained how the fees can cost you over $200,000, even though they don't seem like that much. So be sure to check that video out as well. Now, I want you guys to comment down below and let me know what you think about ETFs and index funds and also individual stocks. Which would you invest in now? Would you take more risks and invest in individual stocks, or will you go for consistent returns and invest with ETFs? Comment down below. Now guys, be sure to check out WEBULL, which is a free and easy to use investment app or platform, and by signing up using the link down below, you'll get 2 free stocks which can be valued at over $1,600 after you deposit just $100 in your investment account. You can keep these stocks, or you can sell them, keep the cash, or use that money to invest in other stocks that you would prefer to invest in. Now here you can start investing in stocks and ETFs, and also M1 Finance has a promotion where if you invest right now using the link I left down below, you'll also get $20 for free to put towards your investments. Now, I hope this information was very good and I was able to provide some value to you guys, and you now understand the difference between ETFs, index funds, and investing in individual stocks. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, hit the subscribe button and the notification icon so you can see new videos that I post, and I post a new video here every single day on YouTube. Now, if you've made it to the end of this video, comment your thoughts down below and any questions you may have, and be sure to drop a like on this video, as it really gets this video, or it really helps to get this video to more viewers, and I'll really appreciate it. And also guys, remember, giving this video a thumbs up is totally free. Also guys, I'm leaving more links down below to free stuff and free cashback offers, so be sure to check all the links down below in the description for all kinds of free stuff. Now, if you're a new viewer here on the channel, be sure to check out some of my other videos on high yield savings accounts, checking accounts, investments, credit cards, and ways to make money. Once again guys, all the best with your investments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.